Peace, family. Peace to the chosen. Peace to the people who watch these videos wholeheartedly, family. Because I'm back for you, man. And in this video, I want to talk about willpower. The will that's in your gut that gives you fire so you can, get everything you desire, man. You know what I'm saying, family? So in this video, family, your willpower is everything. Because if you don't have a strong will, well then, if it ain't you put it into work, who's gonna put this work in for you, family? You know what I'm saying? So you gotta get this, whatever you're trying to accomplish. People want a good job. People want to go to school and do things for years just to fulfill a title, man. But do you really want that? You know what I'm saying? Or are you just wasting the lifespan of how long you've got here, man? You know what I'm saying, family? So you just want to just really calculate yourself, man, and realize that everything you want is because you want it, you know? And if you don't, well then you're gonna have to cut something out of your life, family, because something ain't helping you fulfill unlimited potential, you know, family? I have a strong willpower, family. That's why I'm able to feed y'all these videos daily or once every single 24, because I understand how much people out here need my help. And then you might not need my help, but you love the videos because I'm helping you, you know what I'm saying? So I just want y'all to be aware and don't listen to nobody, man. This is your life. Now, how you define it is the way you live this bitch out, man, you know? Think of life as a bunch of cards and depending on how you live it is a card that you have chosen out of the deck, you know? Most people want to be kings, but you might end up being a joker like myself, because the joker is someone that has been through the fire and has been played. You know, that's why you are the joker, because people took you for granted and they looked at you like a joke. But you become the joker once these motherfuckers realize that the only reason they had everything they wanted was because you kept feeding them your life force, you know? So the will, family, is unlimited because your will can never, feel like it is ever too full, you know? That's why I tell you to meditate, family, because if you have a strong will, well then you will be able to get so much things done within the day, depending on how much shit you gotta do, you know, family? The will removes the fear, but the will also gives you a lot of energy, because say you don't have energy, well then that's why people don't want to work out and they only see it in their minds, you know? But marinate on that, family, and think about, how do I feel in this current moment? Do I feel like I have energy, or do I feel drained? You know, and how you feel right now is what you need to work on. You know, monitor yourself, man, because you're in control of your body. So it's best to be your own scientist, man. You know? That's why I tell family, you don't really want to go off of what everybody's telling you if you don't even know who you are, man. Because then they're going to lead you down the straight or wrong thing. And now you're going to blame them because you weren't really loving yourself, man, you know? But yeah, family, for those people who are emotionally mature, man, you understand this message, because you ain't letting just everybody in your presence. You know what I'm saying, family? You're a person that makes sure people deserve your, like I said, your energy, man, because you're depleting yourself, whether you know it or not, you know? That's why I say, family, the willpower can only be achieved by correlating that energy that you have gained onto for so long and letting it stay right here where it's got to be. Because if it ain't in you, well, then it's damn near giving something else willpower besides you if you don't have that. That's why I say, family, the wheel, it's literally your wheel of fortune to life, man. That's where they even get the game show, man, because nothing is a fortune without your will guiding that. But yeah, family, if you could understand this video, well, then your will is somewhat defined at a highest potential, man, because you realize that you didn't always have a strong will before the Matrix has, had you, like if you were, double looped and you couldn't break out that knot. So that's why I say, family, once you finally feel free, man, you start flying like a bird on your own, man, and you develop your will. If I didn't have a will, though, family, I wouldn't even be a YouTuber, because I wouldn't have no drive to even, edit the video. Maybe put background music in the back, yo. I wouldn't want to do nothing. That's why I say, family, protect your mind so you can protect your family. You know what I'm saying, family? But yeah, family, the biggest key is to be one with your ego, family. So if people give you the understanding on life, or you feel like someone has better things than you, you should respect them, but don't look at them like if you are above everybody, because you just want to be better than who you were yesterday. You know what I'm saying, family? The wheel is gonna give you bursts of energy. It's like fire, family, to the barbecue pit. When you put all that fucking gasoline and you're giving it that torch, it needs to become these flames. That's how your will is, family. Whenever you actually feed your body the right things it needs, like keep it composed, energy has to be at a highest, family, so you can feel free in this world, man. Family. But these YouTube videos are to help you, so you can, build your self-esteem and maybe become a CEO or entrepreneur, family. Because do you really want to work for somebody your whole life, knowing that you can't do what you want to do, go where you want to go, or not even that, family? You just have a hard time taking rules in. I know a lot of people who don't want to work jobs because they can't handle it. They don't like being around people, or they don't like when people tell them things that they don't want to hear, And that's why I tell you, family, you're going to get tested everywhere. But the test is, can you keep it going, family? And that's why I'm talking about the wheel today. Because if your wheel's up here and not here, well, then those are just roadblocks, or like, construction, sites on the side of where you gotta go, Everybody had a story on how they became something. They didn't just come out the womb, live in Candyland, and then become, someone that has been honored throughout the years or throughout their era, People have been in the fumes, burning their skins alive and shedding to a new person, family? That's why the will is something that you don't want to just, give away, man. When you give your energy away, you give your will or a part of your will away, man. You know what I'm saying? Not even that. When, you give your energy to things that are not benefiting you, you give the will away, That's why I say, family, protect your will. It's your second stomach, man. Or should I say your second mind? Because why you think you always get that good feeling when something happens? Because, like I tell y'all, family, you are a being of pure electricity, man. You might think you are human or you are flesh, but you are simply atoms. And not even atoms are still, man. Atoms are simply tiny spectacles of life, man, or light, man. That's why they describe themselves as electrical beings or properties, because nothing is ever still, man. Something might appear still in front of you, but if you were to put a microscope or go microscope it's not gonna look like whatever it shows you on the outside, man, because now you're seeing through the object on a deeper spectrum, and that is your flesh. That is who you came down here as. So if you keep waiting, like if you are flesh, man, you're gonna be on these fleshly topics, and that's why you don't have, a high spirit in this world, man. Your spirit wants to be free, damn near to where you feel like this body's holding you down, man, because the body's holding us down, family. At our base, we're just heat, which is our soul. That's why the sun doesn't really affect you, for my chosen ones. And you are electricity, man. That's why you have the power to become empowered, and you can gain access in this realm, man, through your body, man, because of the electricity that is, like I said, fulfilling the role you take on whenever you walk through, But yeah, family, that's all I really wanted to drop on y'all was the will, because do you know your will is literally your fortune, but not everybody knows that, man. So that's why some people are not even six-packed or purified. They have destroyed their will, and that's why they're good. Overweight, or they overbloated because then they feel depressed on life, and they're attached to things that are outside of them, food, clothes, and all these modifications that you might somehow adore because you learn to adapt to them. They are only for who you are on the outside, family, but you don't want to let that shit overly consume you as a person, man. I'm not saying don't eat food, family, but if you eat food, you want to make sure you still look good on the outside. You want to make sure your body is well adapted, because how are you going to protect yourself, man? If it comes to that moment. That's why I talk about working out. Because if you're not strong, well then, you cannot protect yourself in a world that is dark. Because most people see you on the side of the road with a flat tire, they ain't gonna stop. You're gonna have to call natural services, maybe the police force or some bullshit ass, service line, and they ain't gonna come to about an hour later, because people don't have a will of their own, man. And if people had a will, people would have their own things for themselves, man. And I'm not saying, flesh with all this materialism, but I'm saying they would have a name for themselves, or they wouldn't be comfortable sitting down knowing that they have all this free time on their hands where they could do something with it, Whenever you become a YouTuber, you become something in this world, family, you must know that it's not going to take one day to become that you are trying to become. That's where people get their minds fucked up, because they feel like, maybe if I give it my all today and half-ass it tomorrow, well then I'm still known for this. That's not the case, family. Even when I did music, I didn't put a no song out until I felt like every single song that I had made was a hit for myself, man. I would go over the song I made I would listen to it over 100 times, back and forth, depending on if bar for bar, and the way I've put the lyrics into the beat and the melodies, man, because I was in control, man. I didn't have no one behind me, and I don't need no one behind me. But I'm just saying, family, when you have will, you do this shit on your own, man. And independency is really powerful, man, because if you become independent, well then, you don't need nobody, family. And people are going to always look at you like you're the problem. But when you don't need nobody, remember, all this fatty ass coming for you. Because, like I said, family, you don't need nobody. And all this word is about mostly sophisticating your needs, because life is going to humble you, man. So back to my, topic of discussion for today, family. The will is real powerful, man, because you need a will to become somebody. yeah, family, the will is power, man. Because with a will, you become somebody with willpower, you know? And that's what you want in this world, family. If you're always looking for someone to give you energy, or you feel like you gotta call somebody for a problem, you gotta learn how to be a problem solver, man. Cause then that trait's gonna help you so much exceed your expectations, you know? But yeah, family, that is something we must all master. You know, I've mastered will because I don't really stop for nothing or no one, you know? The videos I pour out onto y'all, everybody's not gonna gravitate toward them, and they're not gonna be pushed out onto my feed or everybody else's, you know, for you, because of the message I give y'all. Remember, anything that has to do with changing in life, most people don't want to adapt, man, because they feel sophisticated where they are. That's sad as a being, man, because everybody's supposed to eventually evolve, you know? People want to become strong or seek power, but you don't even see a greater height in yourself, man. You know? You need to glow, or you need to glow from on the outside, man. You know? Because everything around needs to teach you something, man. But if you ain't really paying attention, man, well, then the downloads are so surpassing you, and you are not seeing what it is you need to, you know? But I will have different other topics in my other videos. But let me give you good examples on my will, family. If you have a job, then I'm gonna say you have a will, you know, because it still took you time and effort to apply for that job, and you didn't know you were gonna get it, but you still went to the interview. You had to go because of the job, and because you see that you need a job in your life. You know what I'm saying, family? Then you have a will, so you have willpower, and that is good. But the more energy you save onto, it's gonna increase your aura, and that willpower is what keeps you at a stillness to where you can do it on your own. But that's what I'm saying, family. That's what you really need. You need strong willpower. Willpower is gained through working out, because now you are forcing your body to become stronger. That's why I say, man, working out really does help you, because if you don't see that you are something, well, then your body's gonna remind you of how much work you put into it, man. But when you seek meditation, family, you can strengthen your body that way too, because now you are increasing your electricity, and electricity and fire, when they are collided, they are some of the most strongest sources of really energy, man, because that's all it is, man. Something that is living with a spec behind it, you know. But yeah, family, you know, willpower is a good topic to talk about, man, because most people want a lot of money, or they want to make it out of the matrix, which is to become financially free without relying on doing things. But you have to sacrifice something in return, which is gonna be your energy on by what the fuck you give it. So if you are playing the game, well, then you are giving your life force to the game. And I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that, but how is it benefiting you? That's why people wake up and they start streaming, you know, because they don't want to just sit down on their ass, know that they're good at something and are going to waste their unlimited potential. Because if you are a motherfucker that could play games from 12 p.m. or from when you wake up to dawn, well, then who is it going to want to stream from then to then? Because then I promise you, 1 month later, if you do that every day, you will gain somewhat of a boost on whatever it is you started on doing, because you are forcing yourself to become out there. You are forcing people to see the way you think of life. And not a lot of people are gonna think like you, family, because that's why a lot of people don't have channels, man. Or the people who do have channels, they can only tell you on what they know, because that's who they are as a person, man. And that's why they still go, you know. But yeah, family, you know, no matter what, you should never drop or lower your self-esteem, because if you don't have no willpower, family, well then how are you gonna have what it takes as a man to get the job done? Whether or not, you know, it comes to a point where you are somewhere and someone's hitting on your lady, or you know, your kids in a life or death situation where you have to protect his life, and you must use these, you know, because these are all you have as a man. You know what I'm saying? These are right here. You know, you weren't born with a gun to come out of your hand, and now you have to, you know, reload something that ain't. Yeah, I understand that it comes from the energy that's within you, carbon, because carbon create guns, man. But what you want to know is that you have carbon, so you want to realize that you gotta protect your mind, family. Because if you don't protect your mind, people can latch onto your mind and cause you to become somewhat, you know, out of yourself, to where you ain't focused on self, man. But back to discussion, the carbon in your hands, man, and the carbon in your body, you know, it starts activating, it starts heating up and gaining more firm, like if it was, you know, this hardened rock. The more and more you go within yourself, because now you are becoming supernova like. That's when you start to metamorphose and start to rise slowly to your highest daily, depending on how much you practice working on self, man, going within, working out, drinking water, and staying happy, man. You don't want to be around people who's gonna cause you to feel all these emotions. Jealousy and all this bullshit is gonna make you feel like you don't want to live. So why put yourself around all that, you know, family? Most people who are YouTubers love becoming YouTubers. You know why, family? Because they love a job where they are alone, but they can still give you their side of the story, you know? And depending if you fuck with them or if you feel that it's right, you going wrong with it, family. But yeah, family, I dropped this topic today, and it is willpower, because willpower is something that most people need, you know, to feed your family or to protect your lover, your kid, or even your little bro, man. You might have to protect your family one day, family. And it starts with these. Or, you know, your legs, man. That's why I want to, you know, acknowledge and you know, tell you how to learn the way of self-defense, man. You know, fighting isn't all that people say, but yes, it really is, man. Because everybody's gonna find themselves alone at one point in a time in their life, man. And every man should know that protecting themselves is needed in a world where there's no harmony. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, people have harmony, but not the world. Because if the world had it, then the world wouldn't be so, you know, it wouldn't be like Pompeii coming out of a volcano, man. And that's why, you know, there's nothing but drastic activity and so much ferociousness around this, you know, economy, which is falling, man. That's why the ecosystem and, you know, everything is just not what it used to be, family. Because, you know, people giving up on themselves, man. Not knowing that if you have a strong willpower, you give life to the plants and everything that you are around. Because remember, you are full of life. That's what willpower is, family. Unlimited energy. It's like you took a fucking a special power up, and now you are acting on it forever, man. It's like an energy booster, you know. But family, no matter what, don't ever give up, and don't listen to what no one says, man. Because you have will in you. People can knock you down with their words or try to dictate their reality onto yours, but they ain't walking in your shoes, man. And they don't have someone else to live for like you. And that's why you remind yourself that you must do this for yourself, so when you die, you can say that you were this person, man. You know what I'm saying? I always seen myself in a car, but I always see myself doing more and being something more, you know, extravagant, be family, because I have, if you want to say, a positive reality for myself, man. When you meditate for so much, the negativity has nowhere else to be because you're forcing all your thoughts to leave your mind, and that's why you're a free thinker, man, and you are free-minded, man. You know, your thoughts are on the flow, so you don't worry about other people, and that's how you should function. So you can, have aura like all these fucking anime characters that you want to be like, you know. People love Naruto, but you must, save onto your energy, man, and build your chakra up so you can possess all those abilities that are gonna help you whenever it comes down to it, family. But it's all about how bad you want to put the work in. A lot of people don't want to work because they love to do things for people, But when you become a CEO, family, you fall in love with the hustle, because now if you don't do it, who's gonna feed you? You know what I'm saying, family? And it's better to do it while you're in your 20s, man. Like myself, I just got out of high school, but I'm young, smart, I'm an intellect. So I'm telling y'all, if you start before you are even in your 20s, man, you want to do that, man. So by 23, 24, you are literally fulfilled and financially stable to take on the life that you want to, man. Now you become your own adventurer, man. You can start seeing life, man. You know what I'm saying, family? But yeah, family, just know that if you have a strong willpower as a man, women will notice that. So, you will do, you know that, the right things are in front of you, man, because you won't have to look or try to, follow anybody else, man. Because why follow someone that doesn't even have a will, man? That's also why you're constantly waiting for someone else to post or something like that, because you feel like their energy is superior or over you, man. And I'm gonna tell you, man, you have that same energy, man, but you have to harness it and increase it, man, so you can have bass under your rhythm, man. Your esophagus, if you don't know, family, or your voice is an instrument in itself, man. And that's why people don't really gravitate towards music if there ain't no words behind it, man. Because you are the top tier instrument. When they know how strong your will, it's gotta be out here, man. But yeah, family, have a strong willpower so nobody can fuck with you out here. And in a world that's cold, but that's your world. You know what I'm saying? It's your world. That's why you are living in it, man. And that's why they want to keep you from everything. But not knowing your magnetism is everything you need, because you're going to attract everything you want and need, depending on how much work you put in, family. You know what I'm saying, family? But yeah, family, you got to be someone that motivates the rest of the world, because if you don't motivate someone, well then you're not really, helping around, because most people in the world, y'all, are not motivated, and that's why, they are not millionaires, man. And I know that money doesn't define you, family, but that title alone is power, man. Because most millionaires, it's not about the money that made them a millionaire. It's about the work and how much nice they stayed up becoming something that they believed in, that gave them, that fortune, man. Like for myself, family, for everybody who has a car, man, and you work hard and you pay on it, man, you must know that your will and everything, your money is your energy. So everything you have, it took your will and a little bit of energy to exceed the limits that you want to have these things, family. That's why I say, family, not only be appreciative, but always be grateful that you did it, man, because it took your energy, man. You know what I'm saying, family? That's why you just don't want to give everybody your energy, because if people are leaving you without anything, well then they gonna feel like you gotta come to them for everything. Become your own, you know. You wanna call it storm. You know, you become a storm of nature, man. Whenever you with harnessed all this energy, man, and you are not giving it to no one, because now you feel this heaven experience of how life really is for all of us, man. And that's why most people love being alone, because when you get around people, y'all, like it or not, you feel their intentions and their energy behind who they are. That's why, you know, most people in this world, you know, they like being around people because of the aura that gives them that sense of emotion, you know. You always hear women talking about how they go off they feel. So if they feel something for you, well, that is particularly true, family. But what's going to benefit you in the end of the day is that if she is a woman of true value and she knows herself, man, well, she's going to be secretly seduced and seducted to your energy, man, because now you are vibrating at how life really is and how it should be, man. You're full of life. Most people ain't full of life when they walk around. You know, most people are operating at a fucking zombie because they wake up, you know, spend their hard workings on things that ain't gonna benefit them later on. You know, I always look at life like, what are you getting and what are you giving, man? You know, say you are working so you're getting money. Now, how are you gonna use that money to free yourself from, you know, this new world of what it has become, man? You know, family? Remember, your energy is everything, because not only are women seduced or you know, that they get this feeling that they cannot explain, but that's the animals, that's kids, that's even nature around you that, you know, is really attracted to your presence, man, because something that is not easily obtained or has access to is something that is value, man. That's why, you know, people want to buy you, man, or try to sign you, man, because you're the biggest fucking possession that can be obtained if you give yourself away, man. And you must learn that once you know your true power, family, you have what it takes to make it out on your own, man. You know? But you want to find the right mate to do things with, family, because you don't want someone to drop you when you were with them and now they make their own shit feeding from you, man. Fuck no, because they used you to get where they gotta go, man. And you gonna feel stupid, man. You know? Remember, before you feel like someone's for you, man, ask yourself this question: what's making you feel that way? What are they doing that's making you feel like they adore you? But not only the words, man. Words can deceive you, but actions or what words cannot give to the being, because everything we do is learned off of the retinas, man. We don't learn off of, you know, talking. We learned off of doing and showing, you know. But family, remember, the willpower is something that's gotta be in your arsenal, man. Because if you were to get pushed on the floor, or, you know, just say somebody pushed you, but you didn't know, who's gonna push you back up? Or you're not gonna want to get up and be like, what the fuck? And you're not gonna have no awareness to where you're gonna look around or even try to protect yourself with these two, men, because now you're worrying about yourself, man, and what you feel like you have done in the dark that's making you feel negative, you know, family. That's why I say, family, it's okay to have fear, but control that fear, man, and work on your lowest of your lowest, man, so that fear and you can walk out as one, you know, like a Gen Cherokee, family. But I'll see you on the next video, family. This is just a wheel, and the wheel has a mind of its own, so you always want to listen to your second good. And I'm gonna give y'all a key for my men out here, man. It's always better to eat and the night, cause in the night, yo, is when you can really relax and calm yourself as a man. If you are in the day, you are out here conquering what it is you gotta get done. Say you know you're overfeeding yourself, or you feel like you're eating too much, well then your body's losing energy, breaking down that shit that you put in yourself, man. if you are a true person of mastery, man, you want to become light, man, because in a world full of people who are destructive, man, if someone tries you, man, you want to be ready to knock their ass flat, you know, knock them short, man. So that's why I talk about being light, man. So your body is not so heavy on when you try to do something with it, man. You want to be fast when you punch, you know, or even if you're using your elbow or just any arsenal, family, you have to use your energy, family, because energy is what makes your hand move fast, not, you know, how many times or techniques you can move your hand. No, it's the energy behind that, family. So just keep in mind, family, you want to protect your energy, because if you don't, well then your willpower is gonna fall, man. But yeah, family, I love y'all, man. This is a willpower, and if you have a will, remember, you are not so easily driven to others and their beliefs, man. And no one can easily whoop you in a fight so easily, because it's not about how many times someone pushes you or knocks you down, or maybe even punches you. No, family, it's about how much times you can get up, endure, and understand that the enemy in front of you is a person that you gotta be better than, because he is you. But depending on how much you put yourself through is, you know, depending on whether or not you can stand toe to toe with who you are going against, man. That's why you want to look at someone like yourself, man, and the flaws that you see in them, you want to work on, man. But you remember, family, I'll see you on the next video, man. Keep your will high.